to verify their citizenship. And they were reclassified as illegal immigrants even though they produced the tax receipt. In 1989, the King of Bhutan, he introduced this policy called One Bhutan, One People. It was basically cultural cleansing. Nepali language was removed from the school curricula. They were mandated to wear national dress of the north. The Bhutanese refugees, they were traditionally were what the Nepalese were, their culture. They had kept that culture, even though they have been there for so many years and become the citizens. They were attached to their cultures. The Bhutanese refugees, they resisted the policy due to their strong attachment to the Nepalese culture, and then demonstration followed, and that's when they started removing them from the country. In between 1990 and 1992, the government began to crack down on what they deemed were anti-nationals from southern Bhutan. There were mass arrests, closure of schools. Instead of in places where there were schools, they put like army camps. And army, basically the army and the police were the ones that were removing, doing the crackdown. They were asked to fill out the voluntary migration forms. Just saying that I'm leaving the country voluntarily. And at first they fled to India. This is the culture, like that's Bhutanese refugees, and this is the people from Bhutan. And that's the difference in their uniforms, I guess. They were asked to follow that uniform code. This is a guy from the camps, one of the camps in Nepal, and he's holding a Bhutanese citizenship passport. So even though he had one, he was, he had to flee the country. Historical background related to traumatic experiences. Torture was implemented to force eviction. That included humiliation, degradation, forced labor. I thought some of the group members most of the group members have said that all of them have been through beating, like they were beaten. Harassment, beating, imprisonment, rape in order to force obedience, eviction and punishment, threats of torture, rape and eviction. Forced confession, again the voluntary migration forms. The resettlement process in Nepal. When they fled to India, they were arrested by the Indian forces and taken to the borders in Nepal. And then the relief agencies, UNSCR, Red Cross, and Lutheran War Services, they set up camps in the eastern part of Nepal. 7 refugee camps were about 105,000 refugees were resettled. Schools and health centers were provided. They still the discrimination, they still had to experience discrimination through the local Nepalese, because they came from Bhutan, so they were not like Nepalese. These are refugees, and they still experience discrimination in employment opportunities. They would local or original people from Nepal, they would have the same jobs, but they would get paid different kind of pay rate, I guess. Because they were told that you guys get relief aid, and you just need money like pocket money or something. You don't need money for food or anything else like that. Beating and intimidation by the local people, and even from the police. And trafficking in general is a problem in Nepal, and the refugees have been through that too. That's one of the camps in eastern Nepal. That's a picture of a man. He's holding a picture of him and his son from Bhutan, like when they were in Bhutan. And that's where they get their water from. They said they had to wait in line in the camps for like 2-3 hours to get waters. Look at the camp closer. Okay, resettlement in the U.S. In 2007, there was a agreement between the Nepalese government and the third world, acceptance of third country resettlement. 60,000 Bhutanese refugees were to be resettled in the U.S. November 2007 was when the first batch of Bhutanese refugees arrived in the U.S. As Tuan mentioned, we have 4 major refugee resettlement agencies: Catholic Charities, Interfaith Ministries, Alliance for Multicultural Community Service, and YMCA. And then there is a smaller one, Refugee Services of Texas. That's where I used to work as a case manager, doing case management stuff for people, for families and individuals who've been here in the country more than a year and they were not able to have jobs, and they still had needs. It's called extended case management services. Cultural considerations while working with this population. It's a very patriarchal society, meaning that the father or the male is the head of the house. Caste system is still pretty common. Marriages, when a woman gets married, she goes to live with her husband and the family. They still have that. Extended family, uncle, aunts, they just live close by and they are very close-knit community. Diet, regular rice, lentils, curry, and I just wanted to put that beef they don't eat beef because of religious reason. One of the things that I have experienced is the privacy of Brownies. They're really, open about asking you questions. I've been here, I went to school there, and when they met me, maybe because I spoke the same language, they asked me a lot of questions, private questions like, where do you live, how much do you pay, how much do you get paid, kind of stuff. I kind of understood it, but I kind of had that a discomfort too. Like I was like, okay. So they would ask me, do you have a car? How far do you live? And they would want specific information about me, and that's something that's common, I guess. It's just a culture thing. Clinical work. Like I said, they are very foreign to the concept of mental health care. It's literally called like being crazy, having mental health problems. A crazy person, and that's still there. Home visits, one thing to consider is taking shoes off is expected, kind of. It's very disrespectful to have your shoes on. They're very, you need to remind them about if you're working with them one-on-one or case management stuff, you need reminders about completing certain things, and be firm about punctuality. They're really lax on, like, if you have to be there at 10, they're at 8 or 10, they don't really understand. I think it's similar to what my culture is Nepalese, like we have this, like, the Nepalese time, and then that's like 2 hours after the set time, and that's really common. So excuses are common in groups. I've heard a lot of, I think it's really, it's a reasonable excuses, but it's very constant. So it's like, I can't do this, I can't learn this, I'm too old, and it's very frequent. So it's kind of when you have like 1 hour a week, and trying to teach them stuff, and then there are people like always. I just have to constantly remind them, that's why we are here, and we are here to learn stuff. Let's not waste time, talking about that stuff, kind of thing. Like I said, physical complaints is very common. A lot of them, like especially women. When I was doing the case management stuff too, they would have a lot of physical complaints, headaches, always feeling sick. And one of the things that I didn't mention here is the learned helplessness. They've been refugees for two decades, like more than 20 years, and they lived on relief aid. And when they come here, they sort of have these expectations that the agency is going to do everything for us, and like Tron mentioned, like 6 months or 8 months is not enough. And they kind of get very depressed, and that leads to a lot of depression and sadness of like, oh, they kind of misled us, we're not told that when they had the orientation in Nepal. We were told that the agency is going to take care of. Now they're saying that we have to go and find jobs. And finding jobs, their expectation is like, the agency will find them jobs and they just have to show up for work. They don't have any concept of like interviews or those whole things, filling out applications and stuff. So it's really important to consider all these facts while working with this population. Those are the reference, and I did pass out a handout on the resources. It's just some local resources, I guess. Any questions? Oh, I think we're going to have a question and answer session.
Thank you, Shulai. Did you want to give some space for the seniors to say anything? Or? So maybe we'll have them come up and speak briefly.